Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and this is your reaction to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference building up to the Man City Manchester United game tomorrow at the Etihad in the second leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final. And of course, as you are all aware, we are 3-1 down from the first leg. So obviously, Manchester United tomorrow have got to overcome a 2-goal deficit. So I think we need to score around 3 times. I think, if I'm right, away goals do count in the Carabao Cup. So Solskjaer said quite a few things during his press conference. He hasn't provided us with any news regarding the transfers, because obviously we do know that signings are desperately needed at Manchester United, because we are now it's now very, very close until the January transfer window shuts. The January transfer window does shut on Friday. So we haven't got any news regarding any transfers or Bruno Fernandes. He's obviously, give us some news regarding Alexis Sanchez. And I think, this is a bad decision from the football club. Solskjaer has revealed that Sanchez, will return to the club in the summer, so he will be with the rest of the squad for the pre-season tour in the summer. And he believes from his own perception, does Solskjaer, that Sanchez, will prove everybody wrong, because obviously, we let Sanchez go at the start of the season. He went, of course, on loan to Inter Milan, and he's obviously still on loan with Inter Milan now. I think his loan spell comes to a conclusion at Inter Milan, I think, in June. But I think his appearances have been limited since he's gone to Inter Milan, because I think he's only played around 7 games, as he had some kind of injury problems or something. But Sanchez, he endured a very difficult 18 months with Manchester United before he went on loan with Inter Milan. Sanchez only managed around 45 appearances and only managed 5 goals in all competitions. Obviously, we did get Sanchez in January 2018 from Arsenal as part of a swap deal of Mkhitaryan going to Arsenal. And obviously, we thought it would have been a fantastic signing for us, when we did get Sanchez, reflecting on what he did at Arsenal, because he enjoyed a good 3.5, 4 years at Arsenal and that. He also played under Pep Guardiola's guidance when he was younger at Barcelona, and also did fantastically well there. But what he did there, he just hasn't, just didn't replicate that at Manchester United. But Solskjaer believes, like I said, reverting back to what I said, he is going to prove everybody wrong. Sanchez is 31 years of age, basically. And, yeah, so we are going to give Sanchez another opportunity. But Sanchez, did sustain a lot of injuries, in that 18-month period. So he didn't, really get a lot of game time. And like I said, he is 31. And, when he was at Man United, he was our highest paid player, we paid him around, was it 400 grand a week, including the image rights and the bonuses, that rises it up to around £500,000 a week. I still believe that we're still paying the vast majority of his wages now that he is on loan with Inter Milan. I think Inter Milan are paying some of his wages, obviously, but I still think we're paying around £300,000 of his wages. So he is going to be coming back to the club next in the summer, is Alexis Sanchez, going on into next season. So that's been confirmed by Solskjaer. He also got asked, this was I think towards the back end of the press conference, about Jurgen Klopp playing his under-23s in Liverpool's replay against Shrewsbury. And I think Jurgen Klopp is getting a lot of criticism for this, because obviously I said the FA Cup isn't a priority for Liverpool, but maybe I do believe they still need to take it serious, So he is playing the under-23, so I think he's going with an exact same team as what he went with against Aston Villa, because Aston Villa did beat them by 5-0 in the Carabao Cup. But I think, from a Shrewsbury perspective, they'd have been delighted, taking it to a replay. But I think they've confirmed they want to, verse Liverpool's first team. So in a way, I think it's out of order, Jurgen Klopp, playing his under-23s against Shrewsbury. Because obviously from Klopp's perception, he's focusing on the league. He wants to rest a lot of first-teamers, obviously for the league and that. But he's confirmed that one senior player will be playing and all the kids will be playing, and he won't even be managing in the replay against Shrewsbury. Solskjaer has actually, come out and warned Jurgen Klopp that, we actually, quitted the FA Cup 20 years ago, which was 2000. And I think, Solskjaer, still regrets that, even though it is 20 years ago. So that's how he reacted, to what Jurgen Klopp had said, basically. Also, has provided us with some team news. He got asked about, obviously, Marcus Rojo, if there was any chances that, he would be leaving Manchester United, and he probably, said no. I'm surprised Rojo didn't leave the football club last summer because obviously, Everton were in for him. I think quite a few other clubs went in for him, and he has sustained quite a lot of injuries as a Manchester United player as Marcus Rojo. But I think he's one of the players that should be moved on, Rojo, but I don't think he's going to be leaving the club, no. Obviously, I think Tuanzebe is still out. I think he did say with Nemanja Matic, he's had some kind of problem, is it, or something like that, but should be okay to be as part of the squad. So I think this squad that's this squad is the same, I think, or more or less the same, as a squad that, travelled to Tranmere, basically, except Nemanja Matic. But I think, actually, Nemanja Matic should be okay. Obviously, Solsjkaer did say at the beginning of the press conference that we need, going into this game against City, we need a memory bank, from PSG, because, we did produce a miraculous comeback against PSG last season. We we overcome a 2-goal deficit from the first leg, and then won 3-1 in the second leg. And also, we've got great memories from the 7th of December of last year, when we did beat Man City by 2-1. So if we can replicate a performance, that we showed against City at the Etihad in the league, then there's a chance, we could, get something out of Man City in that. But it is going to be extremely difficult, like I said. We are 3-1 down from the first leg. Solskjaer did admit that, City totally dominated, the first half of the first leg. There was 3-0 up at half-time. It was goals from Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva also got an assist, and Mahrez scored, and also too it was a Pereira own goal. But Rashford had scored a consolation in the second half, so at least we did get our name on the score sheet. But like I said, we've done really, really well against elite opposition this season. We have done well against elite opposition this season, to be fair. We've done really, really well. We're beating Chelsea at the beginning of the season 4-0. We're beating Leicester at home. We drew with Liverpool. We're the only team this season to take any points from Liverpool. We also beat Tottenham. We beat Man City. You can say at that current time, them 2 games arguably saved Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial tenure at the football club. So we've done quite well against elite opposition, but we haven't really replicated it against their lower opposition. But that's my element of concern. Last week when enjoyed a difficult week, it was good to see a reaction. By beating Tranmere 6-0. But we are coming into this game with back-to-back Premier League defeats. Losing the other week to Liverpool 2-0, then losing at home to Burnley 2-0, for the first time since 1962. But it was a good reaction from the players against Tranmere and that. And obviously, Solskjaer did name a lot of first teamers against Tranmere because obviously, he wasn't determined to take any risks, basically. A couple of first teamers were rested. There was no Wan-Bissaka. Bissaka should be back for this game against City. He should be starting at right back. And of course, there was no Daniel James in the game against Tranmere and that. But it was a very, very good performance against Tranmere because there was reports emerging out saying if we hadn't beaten Tranmere, then possibly Solskjaer would have been sacked as Manchester United manager. I still don't think it would have happened in that. But it is good that we progressed to the 5th round of the competition. That game against Tranmere was our biggest away win, since 1999 when we beat Nottingham Forest 8-1. And the first time we've scored 6 goals since the Alex Ferguson era and that. But it was a very, very good performance by Manchester United against Tranmere. As you all know, in the 5th round, we've either got the winners of Derby or Northampton. I presume that should be Derby, so probably, realistically, Ray Rooney is going to be reuniting with Manchester United because Rooney is the player-manager of Derby, as you all know. And Rooney served 13 years at Manchester United and never really suffered any injury problems. Scored 253 goals for us in all competitions. He's our he's our leading goal scorer. All-time leading goal scorer is Wayne Rooney. But so probably more than likely, it will be a Derby in the 5th round because the 5th round draw was done yesterday in that. Obviously, Eric Bailly, like I said, is now back from injury. So will he play any part in this game against Man City? Bailly's just come back. I'm surprised he didn't play against Tranmere. You know, Bay's very injury prone. He's been recently playing for the under-23s. So too Fosu. He's also just come back from injuries, Fosu. And so I think Solsjkaer actually views Fosu as a right back basically in that. So them two are now back. You know, the only absentees I think we've got now is Rojo, Tuanzebe, like I mentioned, Pogba and McTominay. I think they're due back at the end of this month, or is it sometime in February? I think it's probably in February sometime they're due back. And of course, Rashford is out with a double fracture in his back. And I think Rashford is set to be out for at least 2 months. But when if his injury first occurred, it says he could be out for at least 6 weeks, basically. And I think Solskjaer would also regret now, bringing Rashford on against Wolves, because, a lot of people are saying that, Solskjaer needs to take some of the blame, for bringing him on against Wolves. And Ian Wright even came out and said some of the blame does stem from Solskjaer. But this injury Rashford's got is totally comparison to the injury he had earlier on in the season. But Rashford has sustained quite a few injuries anyway as a Manchester United player. Up until this point, he's spent the entirety of his career with Man United. He's been a United player since the age of 7. And he's, been in the senior squad with us since 2016. And he's been in scintillating form this season. So he is going to be big misses, Rashford. But now, reflecting on the injury to Rashford, we're looking to, delve into this market for short-term deals. So we're looking to get a striker in on loan until the end of the season. Someone who can, bring us goals and that, because, where the goal's going to come from without Rashford. I know Martial can score goals, and he scored a good goal at the weekend against Tranmere. He's sustained quite a few injuries, but I just think he's totally comparison to Rashford. I think he's a good player, Martial. I think he did well in his debut season when Louis van Gaal brought him in. Scored on his debut against Liverpool and that. And I think he's also had some bad spells as a Manchester United player. Some people prefer Martial out wide. Some people prefer him in the number 9 role. But he got given that number 9 shirt anyway at the start of the season. Daniel James hasn't been so good in the last month and that. So we need to get someone in on loan, definitely. And obviously, I think now you've got around 2/3 of Manchester United fans saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should probably persist with a back three. So they're saying he should go with a back three against Man City tomorrow night. And that system seems to suit our standards. And there's only been like 2 or 3 games when we've gone with 3 at the back this season. Went with 3 at the back against Tranmere. We went with 3 at the back against Liverpool early on the season and got a well-deserved draw. Should have won the game, arguably. And, in one of the games against Partizan Belgrade, went with 3 at the back. So it seems to suit our standards. But, for the vast majority of this season, Solskjaer has been going with that 4-2-3-1 formation this season. And that, hasn't, in a lot of games, it hasn't really suited our standards. And even though Hargreaves believes, from his own perception, that Solskjaer needs to, persist with the back three. You saw my starting 11 prediction yesterday. I think he could go with a similar team to what he went with Tranmere. Against Tranmere, I think he will make some changes, though. Obviously, De Gea will be back in goal. And the 3 at the back I'd go with is probably Maguire, Lindelof and Bay. And I think Bay is now fully fit, like I mentioned. If Bay isn't to play, then I'd probably go with Harry Maguire, Lindelof and Phil Jones as a back 3. And then the wing backs I'd go with Brandon Williams, because we now see Brandon Williams as our first choice left back or wing back. I'd put Wan-Bissaka as a wing back. And then the 2 in the mid, I'd probably put, Fred and Matic there, or Fred and Pereira. And then, of course, in the middle, I'd probably put Juan Mata there. And then up top, I'd put Martial and Mason Greenwood. So that's my starting 11 I would go with against Man City. But I said this to you yesterday. And Mason Greenwood, I think, will start this game, because he does tend to start a lot of cup games. But for me, he isn't getting enough starts in the Premier League, Mason Greenwood. And that's my element of concern. He's not getting enough starts in the Premier League. And he's not on Rashford's level yet, but I think he will emulate to Rashford's level as he develops more. Greenwood's only 18 years of age, and he's on 10 senior goals this season in 20-odd first-team appearances for the football club, as you all know, is Mason Greenwood. But yeah, that's the definite lineup I would currently go with. But Man City is going to be a very, very difficult game. They have rejuvenated themselves recently, Man City. The time we did beat them 2-1 in December last year. City went on of a bit bit of a bad run, but since then, City have seemed to rejuvenate themselves, to be fair, and this is the third Manchester derby of the season. So can Solskjaer yet again overcome Guardiola? Because Solskjaer overcame came in the league earlier on this season. That I think this is around, is it the third or fourth meeting between Solskjaer and Pep Guardiola and that. City have also had some injuries themselves. Like Solskjaer was mentioning, obviously, they've had Laporte out for quite some time. John Stones has been out. John Stones, of course, is going to struggle to get in the Man City team anywhere. He's going to really, really struggle, is John Stones, to get in the Man City team, especially when Laporte does come back. Is he back now? I'm not too sure. I can't remember. But I know he was injured at one point if he isn't now. But, even the likes of Otamendi and Fernandinho are, Guardiola's preference over, John Stones, even though Otamendi and Fernandinho are not predominantly centre-halves. Like I mentioned before, I think Benjamin Mendy's been out for them. I think he's sustained a few injuries as a Man City player since City got him in. Leroy Sané's out with injury. That's one of City's key players as well. But, and City have not performed to the standards as we expected from them this season. Obviously, of course, City, won back-to-back titles. They were hoping this season they could get their third title on the trot on that. And they did, win the domestic treble last season. They registered 100 points a couple of seasons ago. City were fantastic in that season. But, they haven't, been as good as we thought they would have been this season. But obviously, Pep Guardiola says, they haven't got any title ambitions now. He's given up on the title. And City, just concentrating now in terms of league on getting runners-up. So it's between City and Leicester for runners-up. Obviously, the Carabao Cup's now a priority for Man City, because realistically, I think they are going to progress to the final. City are looking to win their third Carabao Cup in a row because they have won it in the past 2 seasons. They won it against Chelsea last season. They won it against Arsenal the season before, and I think overall they've won it like 4 times out of the past 6 seasons of Manchester City in that. So they are very, very dominant in the Carabao Cup. So they are going to get some silver on the board. I don't see them winning the Champions League because they don't have a pedigree in the Champions League. And maybe they could still win the FA Cup because they did beat Fulham by 4-0 recently. I think actually, Fulham had a man sent off in that game. I think it was after the 6th minute. He had been sent off and that. But I still praise Pep Guardiola. I think he's a very, very good manager. His philosophy is very, very good. Don't forget, Guardiola worked alongside Marcelo Bielsa when he was younger. And, Marcelo Bielsa is obviously now in his 60s. You probably got to say realistically that Guardiola is following, Marcelo Bielsa's philosophy in that. And yes, he is. And but he's a very, very good manager, Guardiola. Obviously, I think at City he's been emulating the football, since he got recommended in, what he produced at Barcelona and Bayern Munich. He's won a hell of a lot of silverware as Guardiola, but you could say City have bought success. Reflects on the amount of money they've spent, Man City. They've spent a lot of money in Man City. Like I said, Guardiola spent over £1 billion in his managerial career, but more than half of that £1 billion has been invested into that Manchester City team and that. But they've got really, really good players. I like Laporte, very good centre-half. I like Kyle Walker, one of the most expensive English fullbacks. City paid $50 million for him. Aguero, I like him. I think City did get him from Atletico Madrid. He's been, I think, at City since 2011, is it, or something like that. He's been very, very good. Raheem Sterling. City, I think, got him from Liverpool. I like that Leroy Sané. I like Jesus, Gundogan, David Silva, Bernardo Silva. So City have got a lot of good players in their team, and analysed that they have got a better team than Man United and that. But, like I said, Liverpool are sitting, top of the Premier League, and, they've spent nowhere near to the extent of what we've spent in the last 6-7 years, or even what Man City have spent. I think, we've spent around at least £100 million more than Liverpool in the last 5 or 6 years on recruiting new players in. But, Liverpool are 16 points in front of City. They're 19 points in front of Leicester. They beat West Ham tomorrow. There will be 19 points in front of City and 22 points in front of Leicester. Liverpool are unbeaten in 40 Premier League games. They are unbeaten in 52 Premier League games at Anfield, and they have won 22 games out of 23. we're the only team, don't forget to take any points from them this season. But their recruitment's been very, very good in the last 5 or 6 years as Liverpool's, take that into account. And, Solskjaer also recently came out about Jurgen Klopp as well. And he also said, Solskjaer feels as though that he compared himself to Jurgen Klopp, but Solskjaer feels as though that, he needs time at Manchester United to build a team like Liverpool's. And he said, it took Jurgen Klopp, 4 years to get to emulate to a level where he is now. So this is what, Solskjaer was saying. But I just don't see Solskjaer emulating into another Jurgen Klopp, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. I do not see that happening. So that's your reaction to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference. So what I've said in this video, these are some of the stuff that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has mentioned and that. Obviously, earlier on today, I give you the news, didn't I, regarding Bruno Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon. Nothing much more has updated. As you all know, Bruno Fernandes did play yesterday night against Martimo for Sporting Lisbon. Martimo for Sporting Lisbon. He actually captained the team, and Sporting Lisbon did win the game by 1-0. Yes, they did win the game by 1-0. The Sporting Lisbon boss has come out and give us an update this morning, and he says he doesn't know if that's his farewell appearance for Sporting Lisbon, because reports were emerging out prior to the game saying that his transfer to Man United is very, very imminent. Some reports are saying now his transfer is off. Maybe one of the main explanations why his transfer has been stalled to Man United is probably something to do with the issues with the Glazers and Ed Woodward. Maybe that is. Ed Woodward, to be fair, has been working on the deal. George Mendes has also been working on the deal because he's been in Manchester quite a few times. But I think the stumbling block is the fee, because Man United and Sporting Lisbon are struggling to come to an agreement on a fee. Don't forget, we've already had one bid turned down for Bruno Fernandes, because we made an offer of around 42.5 million, was it? With 8.5 million add-ons, but Sporting Lisbon had turned this down because it's below their valuation. Then we've obviously increased our offer recently, and we spoke with the president of Sporting Lisbon about this. We improved our offer to 46-47 million up front, I think it was, with around 12 million in add-ons. So we have put in a second bid in for him. But Sporting Lisbon did confirm at the first that they wanted around 68 million. And now reportedly, they want around £62 million. So they have lowered their demands, to be fair. But still, Sporting Lisbon do remain ruthless of their valuation of the player. But Bruno Fernandes has already confirmed that he wants to come to Manchester United. We've been negotiations, I should presume, at one point definitely were at an advanced stage, and they've been at an advanced stage quite a few times, because obviously the personal terms have already been agreed according to numerous Portuguese sources. It's just the fee now we need to come to an agreement on. This is something that Man United can not do. But we've got until Friday to get this deal over the line. But like I said, Bruno Fernandes will be a great addition to the squad. He'll dramatically improve our midfield. He is predominantly an attacking midfielder. He is only at the age of 25, is Bruno Fernandes. He's only at the age of 25, is Bruno Fernandes, and he has still got a lot of years ahead of him as Bruno Fernandes. And we're seeing him as a replacement for Pogba, because I'm still very convinced that Pogba will leave in the summer. He won't leave in this January transfer window, obviously. And even if he doesn't leave in the summer, I think at some point in the future, Paul Pogba will be moved on. But, Bruno Fernandes is a good player. He's done well in the couple of years at Portugal with Sporting Lisbon. He did well when he was younger in Italy, don't forget. So when are we going to get this deal finalised for Bruno Fernandes? Tottenham went in for him last summer. City went in for him. Also, too, Liverpool went in for him last summer. But his preference now is a move to Manchester United and he can provide goals and he can create chances. But we know Bruno Fernandes isn't enough. We know more signings are needed than Bruno Fernandes at Manchester United. Solskjaer, I think, wants to recommend 6 new signings in. Definitely in that. I gave you the news, didn't I, regarding Islam Slimani earlier on. There was news coming out yesterday saying that Islam Slimani has asked Monaco to end his loan spell. So he does want to rejuvenate his career. Now, reportedly, Man United and Tottenham are in talks to get Islam Slimani. the main explanation is because we've got Rashford injured, we want a striker. So too, Tottenham have got Harry Kane injured, and Harry Kane's supposed to be out for a while. And if I'm right, I think Tottenham have just lost Christian Eriksen to Inter Milan as well. So maybe they want a replacement for him. But yeah, Kane's out injured for a while. But yeah, so like I said, I don't really know much about this Islam Slimani. I know he's on loan at Monaco. Before he was at Monaco, he had loan spells with Fenerbahce and Newcastle. Don't think he scored one senior goal for Newcastle. And before that, he was at Leicester. Leicester purchased him for 29 million from Lisbon. At that time, it was a record signing for Leicester. And he is the age of 31, is Islam Slimani. So Man United and Tottenham are now in for him. But like I said, overall, we've had a lot of players on our agenda. Don't get me wrong, we need to see more outgoings at Man United. Solskjaer expects more departures anywhere. I expect, probably Jones to leave. Well, I want him to leave. Matic needs to be moved on. Lingard, I thought he had a good performance against Tranmere. Can he keep the consistency up now, though? Can it give him some confidence? Because last season he didn't score one goal or one single assist. Some people say they'd keep Lingard, some say they'd get rid of him. I think recently being linked to a move to Leicester. Chong needs to be moved on. Some people say Luke Shaw needs to be moved on. But there's still obviously players at Manchester United I would be determined to keep. I'd keep Rashford, I'd keep Martial, I'd keep McTominay, because I thought before McTominay got injured he did really, really well. I'd keep the vast majority of the young players. I'd keep the 3 signings that were recommended in last summer, definitely. But these we still expect to see more departures this year. Solskjaer, I think, may consider bringing a full-back in, because Young left for Inter Milan earlier on in the window. Of course, obviously Luke Shaw's had a lot of injury problems as a Man United player. The lot's there as a backup. But, he may consider getting a left-back in, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that. But like I said, I still don't think he's the right man for Man United. We won't sack him now. I think if we can get top 4 this season and we can get some silverware on the board, then maybe the club then will be determined to give him another season. Because this is only his first full season as at Manchester United, don't forget. So then we may be determined to give him another season if we meet these expectations and that. We could still possibly get top 4. The only main explanation why we're in that top 4 is because Chelsea have been so inconsistent. We could still possibly get some silverware on the board. But let's see what happens. But like I said, my element of concerns regarding Solskjaer is he's too inexperienced. Hasn't got that managerial experience. Got the same perception on Carrick, too inexperienced. Kieran McKenna, too inexperienced. Solskjaer's been tactically naive for the vast majority of this season. Doesn't really have a plan A or a plan B. This is what concerns me, but he was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance and that. So I think as a manager, he's totally comparison to how he was as a player. Because as a player, he's obviously got that proven pedigree as Solskjaer and that. But when he first came in, he did well, because he did really, really well when he's the interim manager, Solskjaer. The results were good. The performances were good. So I was very, very delighted, definitely, when he first came in and that. But, we won't sack him as yet. But we need to see a variety of changes at the club, because these fundamental issues, like recently Rio Ferdinand was saying, Gary Neville came out before and criticised Ed Woodward, So I think we need to get rid of the board, get rid of Ed Woodward, get rid of the Glazers. I think the Glazers have been on the football club now for almost 15 years or 15 years. We need to see a variety of changes at the club, definitely. We need to get a new director. We need to get a director of footballing. Shame we didn't get one in last summer. So, yeah. So we've got 2 big games this week. City tomorrow and Wolves at the weekend. So 2 big games for Man United. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes, support on the channel. If you do, consider subscribing. As always, take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.